So this one, this is I don't know if you call it an urban legend, but just those things that everybody knows about but nobody talks about, type of thing, like an open secret.
Yeah,
so
open secrets.
Yeah, an open secret. So this occurred on the third floor, 3A, but it would be the east wing. And it's a short wing, and now it's all been newly renovated and transformed into a mother-baby unit, and it's very nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Prior to this, it was palliative care.
Oh, was it in there?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So on the 8th floor, prior to that, on the 8th floor, we used to have a pediatric ward.
Oh, wow. So they totally switched that up because that's where palliative is now.
Yeah.
Wow. That's freaky.
Old and new and old.
Oh, that's
switched
freaky.
around.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Bad
and
vibes,
it will follow. Yeah, it follows what happened, type of thing. So on the 8th floor, when I was a student, and well before that, it used to be pediatrics. My sister trained there. She was teaching there, and then I was a student there. But unfortunately, in the early 80s, we closed down because they centralized all pediatrics at Health Sciences.
Oh, okay.
So it was very sad for us. We were working nights on Christmas. The day it was the very last Christmas upstairs, and they, sent out a little thing saying we tucked up the babies and we have everybody's stockings up for our last Christmas and whatever. Anyway, so it used to be a pediatric floor, and unfortunately, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there were deaths that occurred up there.
Oh, yeah.
Of some children.
Oh, yeah.
So, following the closure of the pediatric floor, the 8th floor was then used for doctors' offices, like our doctors, the pediatric doctors, and the baby doctors, and call rooms for doctors who were staying overnight who were on call.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them reported that was very noisy up there. They would hear banging and this, that, and the other. Nobody thought anything of it. Anyway, so the 3rd floor east wing had previously been just an extended care unit, like a seniors, sort of like a seniors home until they get to seniors home.
Right.
Like a geriatric floor or something?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, just like that. So then geriatrics was then, at that point, they were beginning the big move to moving people into senior homes.
Okay.
And this particular ward became palliative care for end-of-life care. So patients who were there near the end of their time, this was in the early 80s until about 85. And then it changed back. But anyways, in the early 80s to 85, people who were there as patients often mentioned that they had seen or heard 2 children, a boy or a girl, both between the ages of between 5 and 7 years old.
Okay.
And what they would see is they'd say, oh, I saw this little kid and his sister come and peek into my doorway, but they didn't say anything. And then sometimes they'd say, I heard some kids laughing and playing in the hallway and da-da. And then, surprisingly, they were not, they were unafraid. It didn't bother them. It bother me. And actually, these little visits made them happy.
Oh, I see.
However, the nurses began to notice that shortly after seeing or hearing these kids, the patients would quietly pass away. Yeah. It became commonplace.
You don't want a kid to visit you then, damn it.
That in report even, you could say, oh yeah, they saw the kids. And you knew what that meant.
Right.
Yikes.
And nobody really remarked much on it because, except for between us and our support staff and that, because everyone would have thought we were nuts, right?
Oh, for sure.
So Then palliative care moved after the mid-'80s, moved back to the 8th floor.
Wow. Why did they move
yes.
around like that?
Oh, I don't know what was going on with that.
Probably different administrators, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's move the floor for a ground. Yeah.
They want to look important.
Move stuff around and blah, blah. So, so then they moved back up to the 8th floor, where they are today. And labor, delivery, recovery, and postpartum opened, where the palliative care had been on the 3rd floor.
Right.
Now, I don't know, and I don't think so, that anyone has seen the kids on the L&D part of there.
Since they moved it again?
But they were seen and heard on the 8th floor.
Wow.
And we talked about this, like we talked about this at coffee. Mm-hmm. And we said, do you think it was because they were sort of like back home? Because that is where they were, right? And we weren't sure who the girl was, but some of us, when we were in training all these years ago, we thought the boy might be this little guy whose name was Louis. And he was well-known and well-loved little dialysis patient.
Aww.
And he was a firecracker. He was so smart and so mischievous and such a little badass. He was hilarious. He was great. When we were students, one of us had to go downstairs with him. He had peritoneal dialysis at the time, which is a bunch of tubing and stuff in your abdominal cavity. And he was so afraid of having to get a needle or something, some treatment that was done. So he took a pin and poked his tubing so that he could go downstairs and just get the whole thing changed out rather than having blood work done.
Oh, it is a little shit disturber.
He was a shit disturber.
Yeah.
And another day, we were on peds for we had 6-week rotations. So another day, Louie's my patient, right? I'm looking for him, and I can't find the little bugger. Mm-hmm. And he has to have some stuff done.
Yeah, Lord.
And
as he takes off.
Looking, and calling. Do you know, he was underneath a bed, clinging to, the wire parts that hold a mattress thing?
Oh, yeah.
Clinging to that and pulling himself up so you couldn't see him underneath
it's
the
like
bed.
Indiana Jones hanging underneath a train or something.
Yeah. So there he was, hanging on to this mattress frame.
Wow.
For all he was worth, and all we could do was laugh.
Oh,
he was so funny.
Yeah.
And then
totally makes a whole different look on a job, when you have someone like that so young and so sick.
Yeah. He was great. We just loved that guy. And we had this other little girl. I know it wasn't her because of her appearance, but this little girl, Polly, she was so great. But she had a syndrome where her knees were on backwards.
Oh, my God.
Okay? Yes, it was just the weirdest thing. And she was from a community way up north, and so she spent most of her life growing up on the ward.
Yeah.
But we just loved her. She was hilarious. She was great. And a lot of things like that, but we definitely felt it was probably Louis, but we couldn't place the little girl.
Does that mean that he passed there? Did he end up passing there? Or?
Yes. Yes, he did. Both of them did.
How long was he in treatment for?
Years.
Oh, really?
That's sad.
They spent years up there.
That's his only home then, really,
Really, it really was, because, at the time, medicine wasn't that advanced. I'm amazed at how much it has advanced in the few years that have, well, I guess it's not a few years, 38 years.
Yeah.
But, at the time, they had to spend so many months and years up there. And Polly would have pneumonia, and she'd be readmitted to the hospital, and on and off and on and off. But they both did spend much time, and they both had students, right? Because they were such engaging kids, and you could learn a lot, and they were so great. I just loved them.
Oh,
sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. So we figured, me and my friends figured that was Louis. Okay. Poor Louis.
All right, so that was pretty interesting. Makes you wonder.
I don't
think twice.
I know. Stories.
I know.
Creepy.
Makes your skin crawl.
Mm-hmm.
And, just because everybody, who you would think, again, like we said, in the healthcare profession, like, they feel and sense things too.
Hey, and they have a hard job to begin with. Never mind the extra stuff, right?
No, exactly.
Like, really?
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
Can't
go
blame
to your
them.
regular workplace and you got to worry about other shit going on.
Kind of like when Jen was talking about first responders. A lot of them don't talk about the same kind of. It's almost like a code of silence,
it is,
right?
Really, because okay, it's not like you're going to your job at
you don't
Home
want
Depot
to sound
and worrying about other shit.
Well, you don't want to sound cuckoo.
No,
you don't want to sound crazy
because you're very educated.
Sure, of
you're
course.
educated people, right?
I mean, then people question everything else about your decision-making process, right?
Well, I know.
Yeah, so
scary.
Thanks, Robyn and Debbie. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
And on that,
very much. Thank you very much.
Mush.
Yes.
So on that note, we're going to close out. It's been another wonderful evening talking to you, with you, at you.
With you, to you, and at you, and listen to us, damn it, no.
Damn it, you people. Spread the word. Spread us like icing around the world.
Yay!
And we know nothing about everything and everything about nothing.
I think so.
So don't hold us to it or
please
hold us
don't.
against it or whatever.
No, don't hold anything against us, no.
So, again, we're glad to do what we do. We do it for fun. We do it for the love, the ghost love.
We do.
Any stories?
Any shtick? Anything you want to share with us?
You come on down. That's right. You
can sit in the PodLounge with us.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. That would be fun.
That'd be fun. I'm good with that.
Maybe we should do a share and like, sit in the PodLounge.
Share and like and sit in the pod. You're good. Except I don't want to give out my address, so we're going to have to blindfold you.
Yeah, we'll blindfold you.
Throw you in my trunk.
That would be fun too.
Feed you tequila and taquitos.
And you'll be all good. You can look out the window, though.
A little slap and tickle. No, I'm just kidding.
No, what did they call it?
That's so wrong. Anyway. But certainly email us at givinguptheghost.podcast at
gmail.com.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, what else? I don't know what else.
We're everywhere. Like anywhere you want to hear a podcast, we're there for you. So
yeah, you listen to us, man.
Thank you again. Thank you. And remember, live every day.
Chink, like it's your last.
But never
give up the ghost.
Give up the ghost. Bye. Bye for now. Bye.